So let's get into some Zatanna. So as we read earlier, Zatanna first showed up in Hawkman 4. So you got
Hey,
her.
Bruce.
She's
Bruce,
right
show your
there,
book.
right there on the splash page. I know. I could dig mine out. I got a couple copies. The thing about Zatanna covers, there's not a ton of Silver Age Zatanna covers. Even in books she appears in, there's not a ton of Zatanna Silver Age. There's a good amount of Bronze Age covers. There's plenty of modern covers, but there's not a ton of Silver Age. So the evolution as we walk through here, I'm going to walk through the appearances of Zatanna. So she first shows up in Hawkman 4. She gets that great splash page there, which is fantastic. Get a nice little introduction to her. She then appears in the Atom 19 and then in Green Lantern. There is a weird episode or issue of Detective Comics where there's a witch in here. There's no Zatanna per se. She's not named in this issue. But later in Justice League 51, she makes reference to her disguising herself as that witch. So that Detective 350, I think it's 335, is actually retconned to be Zatanna, even though she doesn't appear in this form in it. So that's kind of a weird kind of book that sits out there. Again, she appeared in that Detective and Batman. That one right there. Her best, in my opinion, her best Silver Age cover is this Justice League 51. It is probably the best. And she is there with Elongated Man and Batman. But this, to me, is her best Silver Age cover. The first major story you get with a true Zatanna story is in Flash 198, where she's not just necessarily appearing as kind of a little pop-up character here and there. So she has a good first full story in Flash. Because remember, a lot of the Silver Age books, there's multiple storylines in there. So you get a full Zatanna story in there in Flash. So it's something to look for, because sometimes a lot of these Flash Silver Age are pretty reasonable at times. And sometimes people look at this and they're like, oh, it's just a Flash cover kneeling. And they don't necessarily realize it's really her first full story in the book. So keep an eye out. My favorite book is the DC Superstars of Magic. That is one of my favorite Zatanna covers of all time. Once you start getting into the 70s and 80s, you start, I don't know what they were into in the 70s and 80s. Maybe it's the Quaaludes. I don't know what it is. But for some reason, Zatanna changed more outfits in the 70s and 80s than any other character I could think of in terms of her looks.
All those opium dens.
She starts out with the
Looks
basic.
like she hit puberty too.
Yeah, she starts out with the basic, and I love, like I said, I all the books we just looked at, I have and love, because I am a pretty avid Zatanna collector. But the DC Superstars of Magic is a great book. It's a book that's hard to find in high grade, because it's a book that was just beat to living shit over the years, because it wasn't overly collectible, just like a lot of those House of Mysteries and stuff like that. They were good stories. People read them, and then they just showed up in boxes and got beat up. They weren't necessarily protected. So It's a good book if you find it in high grade to be able to pick up a copy. I would recommend it. She has her first team up with Supergirl in Supergirl 7. They're fighting over that Sinister Snowman. You get a Superman team up of Zatanna. As you can tell, her outfit has changed for some reason. they wanted to go with full silver spandex and the cape. So
boob window.
She starts. Yeah, you need a boob window. You need to see the cleavage. So they started changing her up around that time, and then you started getting all kinds of interesting.
Yeah, I think we need to zoom in a little bit so Dom can get a good look at their crotch.
Yeah, just to see if it's raised or not, to see if there's any possible moose knuckle going on there.
You might have a full bush down there. That's what.
Oh, jeez.
So she does appear. She does appear in some Teen Titans. She's right there to the screen right of Batman. And then you start to get her in a lot of Justice League. You get the weird Blue for a while too. Blue with cape in the boob window as well. Her face gets a little weird. The 70s weren't so overly kind to Zatanna in the late 70s.
Yeah, she looked like Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and I think that could have possibly been the angle they were trying to play with that as well.
She's even wearing Shang-Chi's rings of whatever.
But as you can see, this is when they were voting her into the Justice League, as you could see the hat with all the little where everyone was writing their vote for who should be in the Justice League, and they all say Zatanna, but she was giving them the what for. Again, through the 80s, you got a lot of decent Justice League covers with her. You did have a Zatanna special in that was early 80s, which is a good cover, and they started to bring her back a little more to her older form.
People
shows up in some World's Finest. Like I said, she wasn't used as a main character or having really her own title for quite a while. She was used in Justice League, and she was used in major titles, and she was used as a character a lot, but not necessarily on her own. Again, you got her in the Justice League. She makes a Blue Devil appearance, which is nice. You get her showing up in some 1980s Hawkman, reprising her old outfit like she did in Hawkman 4, which is fun. Like I said, she did a lot of Justice League of America stuff. And then she gets her first series, which is a mini, the Come Together series, where she's rocking some type of like Pat Benatar outfit and haircut.
It's like a Logan's Run.
Yeah.
Outfit.
This is very 80s. This is very 80s Zatanna. Thank God she doesn't rock that outfit for very long.
Is that a McFarlane cover? Is one of the McFarlane cover?
I don't think so. One of the original Zatanna ones.
These ones right here. The third one. Is that a?
I don't
for some reason
think
I'm thinking
it was
McFarlane. I don't think so. Maybe not. Maybe that's too early. Yeah.
And then you got Good Secret Origins, where you get her and her father together. So you get the origin of Zatanna. Like I said, you get a lot of these fun little crossovers of Zatanna. Showed up in a nice issue of the Spectre, if you're a Spectre fan. And then she actually gets a nice little series, the Ryan Sook, Grant Morrison little run, the Seven Soldiers run of Zatanna, which are cool covers. Which I don't know. People sleep on these a lot. They're good covers to have, and it's a good read. Grant Morrison's always solid. It always just seems to be forgotten about because people just think about the later run. You can't go wrong with your Hughes Catwoman covers that have Zatanna on them. The Hughes Catwoman run is quite famous, but don't forget that there are some great Zatanna covers in there as well. So you can get your early Hughes Zatanna fix with some of the Catwoman covers that exist with some quite nice Zatanna. These are some of my favorites.
Nice.
And then you get into this. This run is the one that everybody loves the most because this one contains the Hughes covers. But what people also forget is the initial covers, the B covers, were Brian Boland covers. The Brian Boland covers all go for a good amount of money. They're all fantastic covers. The Stephanie Rue covers, which are the A covers for these as well, are good. They don't go for much, but if you see any of this Zatanna series and the Brian Boland covers and you find them cheap, pick them up because they all go for a nice, pretty penny, and they always seem to hold value. So through the first early part of the run, you got B covers that were all Brian Boland. I think the Bs were 1 in 10s. I love, I know people make fun of this cover for some dumb reason, but I love the Zatanna flipping the cards cover. It's one of my favorites. But I'm also a Brian Boland fan because I'm also an Animal Man fan, and his covers and stuff are great. I just love his stuff. And then, of course, toward the end of the run, you got your more famous Zatanna covers that are in there as well. So these are the ones that people seem to recognize the most, are the Hughes covers for Zatanna.
Especially that 16.
Yeah. 16 and 15. 15 is becoming almost on par with 16 at this point in terms of recognizable, probably from those dumb foils that came out at the NYCC Con with the reprint foils of Zatanna 15. But I don't know, as I think Zatanna 11 is one of the better covers as well. And it doesn't get as much love as 15 or 16 because 15 or 16 are at the end of the run, but all good covers nonetheless. Hughes does a damn fine Zatanna. Of course, there's also Zatanna being in Justice League Dark. Also fantastic series. Both volumes are fun reads and good reads, and some have a lot of great covers. I love, this was, I believe, the last issue in the run of the Justice League Dark there, where you had the Beetlejuice homage, which I thought was great, sitting on the Hall of Justice. Because, I mean, you get Constantine, you get Deadman, and you can get Zatanna all on the cover doing a Beetlejuice homage. I don't think it gets much better than that.
Yes, yeah.
Got a cool steampunk homage, and you got the first issue there. There's a second print of Justice League Dark 1 as well. It's red tinted instead of the green at the top. But still a dirt cheap book to pick up. It's the whole run. The whole run is fun. If you're into decent stories and like kind of some of the darker, more occult stuff, it's going to get you halfway in between DC and what Vertigo was. So just kind of slap this somewhere in between in terms of story. You had the later Justice League Dark run as well, the volume 2, where it had some pretty nice covers. Got nice Josh Middleton there. And they just ran pretty much A's and B's through that second series. There wasn't a lot of ratios or anything that crazy that ran through that, but the the volume 2 was good. It was had Wonder Woman through the whole storyline as well, so it was fun. You get Swamp Thing. Everyone loves Swamp Thing. You got Zatanna. It's good stuff. It's good art. It's good story. It's a fun read. Tinian did a lot of it as well. So if you're a Tinian fan, it's quality writing. I mean, this is what he was writing before he moved over to Batman. And then just some off covers. The DC Bombshells, which is one of my favorite series of covers, the Bombshells and Bombshells United. There's some good Zatanna covers in there as well. Got a nice Alex Ross JLA cover. And as always, there's always some fun Harley cover somewhere with another female character. So having her and Zatanna together is always fun. Most recently, we got the Night Terror series. So you got some good Cal Young there. There's nice Dachuma Hill in the middle. Was a pretty hot cover for a while. So if you're a Zatanna fan, there's some recent stuff that came out that was still pretty nice and still pretty accessible on the market. And also relatively recently, there's a DC or WBY cover, which was nice. It was a little bit of a sleeper of a Zatanna cover. So it's a good one to pick up if you're a Zatanna collector. There's your got a Josh Middleton there. That was a Batman versus Robin book. It was just a cardstock B cover.
Yep.
And I love the Truth and Justice cover. That's a great cover. That's the Zatanna I love. And more recently, started to get some reprints of Zatanna 15 and 16 with some different covers that were exclusives. There's a Lobos. There's a couple Ariel Diaz that are out there, which are some nice covers. I like them. And she isn't limited to just comics. If you go back in time and remember your Smallville, you will remember the woman who is now on Reacher played Zatanna in Smallville in live action. You also had Batman the Animated Series, so you got your Bruce Timm Zatanna, and then you have modern DC animation. You have her in a lot of the storylines as well. I always love the Bruce Timm.
Yep, exactly.
Zatanna.
The Batman adventure.
Yeah, the Batman Animated Adventures. It's just a great show, great series. Who did the middle? Which middle one? Bri asked who did the middle one in this one or the one before?
I think he was talking about that cartoon capture. I could be wrong.
Animation. The Bruce Timm.
The animation, yeah.